audience was, have you ever stolen a prop? And sometimes we don't use the word stolen, but maybe acquired.
No, stolen. Like barefaced, yeah, complete. On every job I do. But the prop masters know this about me now, so if I'm kind of like because I also love working with props, I find it helps. There's a lot of stagecraft and theatre, the training there has come from how you use a prop on stage, and how you keep the prop that you're using as an extension of the story that you're telling, or an extension of the gesture of the character. It can be very, it can be a good hook into the audience knowing quickly who that person is by the way that you stir a cup of tea, or the way that you handle delicate things, or the way that you sit down in a chair can tell you a lot about whether that person has had a good day or not. So I love practical things, and particularly with my show. I mean, I did this with Christopher Robin. I know Ewan's here. I think he stole just as much from me, if not more, than I did. So like, we're all
I'm interviewing him next. So what did he steal?
I took the gramophone from that film. Okay. I still have it. That he and my character, his wife, danced to. So I stole that. It's like my Ewan moment. And then, but the props master on Agent Carter, I would just be like in between takes, just kind of going, oh, I like that's quite good. Just kind of looking over him. He's like, yeah, got it. I know. And he at the end would present me with a beautiful shadow box of beautiful props, and particularly because Agent Carter was a period piece, so you had these beautiful pieces from the designer who had gone to such incredible detail. Of, you know, you'd open a drawer and there would be cards with like her name at the top of it, and pictures of meant to be her family, or a little picture of Steve that would often be hidden in certain things. And I got a vial of his blood. I got a revolver. I got a hairpiece that's kind of probably living in the basement and has probably, I don't know, grown a body.
Was that a hairpiece you wore like in the first Captain America film, or that was your hair, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, it was a hairpiece. It was like a horseshoe shape with my hair coming out the top of it, so you can kind of blend it. But if on its own, it almost looked like it looked like I would have had a bald patch right in the middle of my head. But things like that help to create, save time on a set, because they can style the wig in advance and be coming in, so it's less time. All the stuff where you're just trying to save as much time as possible.
Okay. If you could add a superpower for Peggy Carter, what would it be? What power would you like her to have?
Oh, I've said this before, I'll say it again. The ability to eat whatever I wanted without any consequences. Right? You never feel tired or bloated or guilty. I would just be so happy. That'd be my just like snacks on a conveyor belt for me. Like Lucille Ball's sketch. Remember that one? Just like that would be great. And I feel like it's a simple superhero power to ask. I don't think it's not particularly sophisticated or complicated.
It's not going to save children in a fire.
It's not going to save children in a fire. But because there's no consequences to eating so much, I could still probably have the energy to save children in the fire. So it kind of works.
And you'll actually, okay, yeah, all right.
Right? Very special logic.
So weird. And then another question from the audience from Leslie. She'd like to know, who's the first celebrity you ever met?
Oh, that's a great question. Oh, wow. Well, growing up in London and going to theatre, I met a lot. So my mum would always have this thing where she knew I liked a performance. She really wanted me to go backstage and acknowledge the performer, the actor, and you get a chance to meet them. So I met a lot of people who I'd go and see, but I remember my namesake. So I was named after an actress called Hayley Mills, which some of you might know from the original Parent Trap, Whistle Down the Wind, and she's this legendary English child actress, Tiger Bay, the daughter of Sir John Mills, and my mother was such a big fan of hers, and she took me to see an old Coward play that she was doing with her sister outside of town, and I must have been about, I think maybe 8, I think around then, and I went backstage and I just remember kind of looking up at this goddess with this mane of incredible golden hair. She looked like a lioness. and she had this, very English accent. It's kind of clipped and breathy, and she'd just come off stage, and I just thought that was amazing. And I was kind of there with my bangs, and which was so far across the side of my head, it was effectively a mullet. And I probably had we call it a bum bag, you guys call it a fanny pack. I probably had one of them on. I was big into that around that time. And she turned around and she kind of didn't look down at me emotionally, but she towered over me, and my mother said, "This is my daughter Hayley, I named her after you." And she was so kind and generous with her time, and so genuinely touched that someone would do that I remember thinking, she made me feel so seen in that moment. And she made eye contact with me, and she asked me questions about what I was into, what I was up to at school. And I remember coming away feeling just high. I was just so, it's like, wow, I've been in the presence of someone that I admired and is the reason I am called what I'm called. And I never forgot that feeling. And it reminded me when I've met particularly young people who've really responded to Peggy Carter, of going, I know what that feeling feels like, and I want to help create that for that child, because they can remember that, and I remember that, and I will for the rest of my life. So that was, I think, a very particular moment of meeting a celebrity.
Well, that was a great story. I just thought you were going to go John McEnroe, just something. That was really fun.
Never met him, sadly. No.
Did that help? Was that maybe one of the reasons why you wanted to get into the performance arts in the first place? Is meeting a celebrity you had a connection with at such an early age?
I didn't. I was a shy kid, and I was an only child. I loved watching movies. I loved watching theatre, and when I would go to the theatre in particular, the power. You guys feel it when you see a great movie, when the lights go down and you are collectively about to go on a journey, and you're all kind of strangers, but by the end of it you will have collectively experienced something. And hopefully, if the film is good, you want to be changed from how you were when you walked in to your experience afterwards. And I remember feeling that and going, I don't understand how these people on this stage, who I've never met before, are opening up my mind to ideas, exploring the darker side of the human condition. I felt was interesting. You're seeing these domestic scenes play out, and you're watching people's lives that see intimate moments that would only really be reserved for inside your own home, and the power of that, and how they were able to make it feel entirely personal to me, but for everyone in the audience. And I thought, there's some sort of wizardry going on here, and I want to know how to do that. But I didn't, I wasn't a show kid, I didn't do lots of kind of singing and dancing classes. I just remember that feeling, and I remember thinking, I want in. I don't know how, I don't know what that means, I don't know if I can do it. But I was like, it's a pursuit that I felt like was a noble one, because it was based on the wholesomeness of just the shared experience of a story, which is what any civilized society is based on. We are based on the stories that we share with each other within our family, within our social groups, within our larger communities. It's what brings us together, and it helps us to understand a little bit more about our experience, and helps us also see other people's perspectives. And I just remember thinking it's the power of the story, regardless of genre, regardless of medium, that I'm always looking for. I'm always looking for the thing that makes me, again, feel like I'm connected to something outside of myself.
You were talking about the importance of story.